I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago on theringer.com.
You had the team that I had been thinking about all summer in that piece.
Yeah, I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall advocating for a trade that would send Lauri to the Detroit Pistons.
It's the most logical trade of the year. I couldn't agree more.
And I just think that they should do whatever it takes, considering how poor the Eastern Conference is with the Celtics down, the Pacers down, considering, they have Jaden Ivey, who's this question mark, who's due his contract extension eligible. Is he a good long-term fit with Cade Cunningham and Asar Thompson, who I think are your best two young players, Jalen Duren also. And the other side of that track is a guy who just complements everyone perfectly. He is like one of the better sidekicks you can get in the league, I think. I know his contract is incredibly pricey, and they're going to have to start paying their young talent pretty soon. Detroit is. But I would swing and I would go for it because he's in his prime. He's 20, Lauri Markkanen in his prime. I think he's 28 years old, and he doesn't need the ball to make other guys better. I think he's one of the more ideal pieces that you could add if you are a team like Detroit that is ascending right now. So I just want it to happen so bad. I want to see it.
Well, he can shoot, he can space and shoot, he can roll to the rim on anything. Like it feels to me like that, like him and Cade would be perfect.
Okay, man, it just seemed like, a lot of the NBA world is trying to push Lauri Markkanen to the Detroit Pistons. Shout out to Bill Simmons. I really didn't care for Bill Simmons on TV, but I like Bill Simmons on his own platform. So, I know TV, TV try to push people to be certain things. They try to, remember they had that dude on, what was his name? Light-skinned dude used to play for the Clippers. He said a bunch of dumb stuff on ESPN. And they use them. They play. I mean, you got to think about it. When you're on sports talk and all this, it's acting. Who remember when reality TV really, really hit in the 90s? Who was it? The Real World? Like, that was the worst thing that happened to TV. Like, I was like, you would think, we was what? 8, 9, 10, if you were millennial, anywhere in there, 7, 6, you know what I'm saying? When the Real World hit, you thought reality TV show was going to be a sham. Bullshit. You got Survivor. I mean, you keep, dog, they got stuff still going on, bro. Remember 3-6 Mafia had their own show? That was one of my favorite reality shows. 3-6 Mafia, Robin Big, rest in peace to Big Black. Like, it just kept going, bro. But reality TV is not real. It's staged. They're really much glorified actors, right? Or unglorified actors. Same thing on TV. Sometimes they put you in a role and, to be vilified. But I do like Bill Simmons outside of the sport of outside of ESPN. I like his platform. He's a lot better. So can't always judge people off them, off what they do on TV, because it is acting. But this whole thing with Lauri Markkanen, pretty much getting pushed to Detroit. I mean, they make a great point. He said it's one of the more, logical things to do. And Detroit got capital. A bunch of capital. They got all their draft picks. They got some guys that they trying to figure out. And obviously the elephant in the room is the trial period that Jaden Ivey is on. And it's not all been his fault. I mean, he was having a great season. It's hard to find shooting. He improved shooting. It's hard to improve shooting in this NBA, and he improved as a shooter. Really, he's just really auditioning to be the number 2 or be 1A, 1B. I mean, that's just what it is at this point. And if he ain't hitting it, and I feel then Jalen Duren is on thin ice too. They don't want Jalen Duren. They been linked to stretch 5s, so they really don't want Jalen Duren. So once you start really looking at it, I think they really want to get Ivy a chance, but I really think Jalen Duren is a guy that's going to be out of there too. So you wonder, will Utah hang on to Walker Kessler and do something else with him, or they do a Duren, Ivy, and a big trade for Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen? But I don't think you're gonna see that until they see how the Pistons camaraderie is this year and how they come out the gate. So but yeah, he makes a great case. It's not too many people in the league who can play with another star who don't need the ball. Mostly all of them need the ball. You know what I'm saying? And you got to remember too, Jalen Duren last year was complaining about not getting no offensive touches, and I think what rubbed that rubbed me the wrong way. And I talked about it. I went to the Celtics game where Jason Tatum had like 25 points in the first quarter. What rubbed me the wrong way is like you can't have that mentality. Ben would complain about not getting the ball, Ben Wallace, and they give him an alley oop or a touch here and there. And we understand that you want to feel a part, not just on one end, but he never slacked his effort on that effort regardless. His effort was his effort. And that's one thing about life too, man. I want to speak on real quick is that I have to remind myself, like, you can't let bad people turn you bad. You can't let a cheater drag you to being a cheater, or a drug user drag you to being a drug user. That's the real true test that really God, or the whatever y'all believe in, I believe in God, put you through. So it's always easy to kind of do the right thing when everything is good. But when things go bad, can you keep your faith in God? Can you keep your morality? Can you keep doing good and still have a good heart? So remember that. So Dern, he got mad, got lazy, didn't want to play. And then when he turned it up at mid-season last year, they was a better team. Tobias Harris knocked the rust off his knees. He started balling. Tim Hardaway, I told y'all, be patient with them veterans. Malik came out hot. But Tobias and Tim Hardaway Jr. knocked the rust off them knees. Jalen Duren came to the party. He stopped bitching and complaining. But I think they seen that. And, you got to understand, he's 22, 23, young. You get it. Ben Wallace had been undrafted and been through the trenches and shit like that. He's compared to Ben Wallace upbringing in NBA, Jalen Duren's a trust fund baby. But honestly, it's going to be something to Lauri Markkanen move. It's going to be talked about because it's just a great fit. You got Tobias contract that's expiring. You got Ivy contract expiring, Duren contract expiring. You got Sasser on the bench. You got picks. You know what I'm saying? And then the only real question is at that point is who do you go after to be your stretch five? And I think Walker Kessler could shoot threes. I don't remember. That's been Benjamin Foboy. But if he can shoot, that make a lot of sense. You monitoring what happened with Cat in New York. Whoever else they looking at. Miles Turner, he went to Milwaukee. Maybe it don't work. They was linked to him. So you get it. They want somebody that can stretch the floor. During talking about, I've been working on my three, and I just hate that for him. But they right. Bill Simmons and them right, man. It makes a lot of sense. It seems like a correct trade. It seems like a trade to go forward. You got a guy. I didn't know Lauri Markkanen was a slasher and getting it off the dribble like that. Jesus Christ. I just know him from shooting, but he can get it off the bounce. He can catch a shoot. He can post. I mean, he's fairly athletic. I think you can play him at the three a little bit. So it'll be an upgrade. The question is that enough to get them over the hump? But I think the enough to get them over the hump is development. OKC didn't make moves to get them over the hump. They just develop. They make a move and they can develop some guys. I think, you want guys that come in that can A, shoot, B, play without the basketball and play with the ball. And then you want guys that really going to buy into your system. Defensively is the only real question about, him. But, Danny Ainge going to want a hard. The Pistons can give him a hard. The question is, if you move Duren and you move on from Duren just in general, outside or inside this trade, who do you transition to? So, we'll see. So, appreciate y'all. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Check out the Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Hit the link tree. Find me on X, Instagram, Facebook, wherever I'm producing content on other platforms. I do appreciate y'all for supporting the channel. Peace.